it well.
They actually remind me a lot of the old Fnatic. Funny enough that Fly is actually on this team, but not only the parallels of coming from Heroes of Newerth as full-time professionals and transitioning to Dota 2, but the way that they did it. They came in knowing the odds were against them, they found a good roster, and they've stuck with it. That's one really strong parallels. They've had a consistent team roster for the most part. There's been little changes here or there, but Swindle, Z-Freak, and Moon have kind of been the backbone of this team for a long time, and I think that really goes a long way in you know, developing that team communication and that kind of play style.
I was when I was in Korea, we had a player that joined us. His name was Slicks, a very talented Australian player, but he was on a team in Han with a bunch of Complexity Gaming. Some of these players, and he told us that the reason they had a period where they were the best team, they were called Stay Green. And he said the reason they were so good was because they figured out the best strat before everybody, and they practiced the hell out of it, and they really grinded on it and got it down. And then when the other teams figured out that, oh, the strat they were doing was the best strat, they tried to imitate it, but Complexity Gaming had been working on it for so long and practicing it so much that they simply executed it better than everybody else, and that's why they won everything. I
would say that's pretty accurate. I was around when some of that was happening. And it
seems like the same kind of strategy, you know? Like, seems a lot like what Complexity is doing here. They've picked a bit of different heroes here with the Sven carry, most likely. Probably Lina mid. No, I guess it has to be Lina support, huh? Because I mean,
Lina or Sven support. It's hard to say. More likely the Lina, I would say, though we haven't really seen her on the support role nearly as much.
Yeah, occasionally it happens, but not huge amounts. Sven here, I feel, has to be a core because there was a support Sven earlier. I think it was against the Techies.
It was against the Techies. Yeah,
Cloud9 actually played it, and the reason that was cool is because Sven can give his team up to 20 armor for a huge amount of time.
8 seconds.
8 seconds with a downtime of 14. Yeah. So that's a huge
over
amount
50%
of armor.
uptime.
That'll be very good against Gyrocopter Flat Cannon, but that's pretty much it on Cloud9. Almost the rest of their damage is magical or a little bit of
especially the Spirit Breaker. You can't forget that Bash is actually magical damage as well as the Nether Strike.
So I feel like it has to be a carry Sven.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Lina pairs very nicely with Sven when she's in the support role because he can set up the stun, she can follow up with LSA, and it's just a nice combo there to burst people down and get some space.
And they can get a lot of attacks in if they have Warcry. That not only does it give armor, but it also gives movement speed up to 12%, which is about a regular Yasha. So that means extra right clicks with these two guys. The Stormhammer's 2 seconds. Light Strike Ray at level 1 is 1.6.
That's actually great with Lina. If she even just has 1 point in the Fiery Soul, she's really moving fast.
Yeah, she probably won't have that until level 4, maybe level 8 more likely, but it's possible. And Wisp Sven is actually very strong. It's a combo that MVP Phoenix actually drafts a lot. Viper pick for Cloud9, so that'll be fought as hero. Not a hero that he can necessarily farm super hard on or make super big individual plays, but it is the hero that is pulling wins for a lot of teams. Maybe not so much since yesterday, but the day before had a pretty high win ratio, and we'll see if C9 can do it again.
Yeah, great to have against Shadow Fiend. We've seen, I think you and I, or you mentioned it 2 days ago when we were last casting, that even though Shadow Fiend had a reputation for struggling in the laning phase in those first few levels, it seems like the players that are taking the Shadow Fiend are just so experienced now that they can get those early last hits pretty easily. But Viper is one of a handful of heroes that can give him a run for his money if there aren't any supports to make a little space for the Shadow Fiend. We've seen very commonly supports early start out in that mid lane for the first wave or two, and then rotate down to the safe lane and start working the jungle.
And they definitely can rotate to mid. It'd be a Wisp Shadow Fiend. Even just the movement speed for a hero like SF can sometimes be enough to kill a Viper. And in a 1v1 versus SF, it can kind of go both ways depending on where the lane position is and how things go. But it's going to be a little scary there for the Viper occasionally. But he'll also get ganks, I'm sure. And if it's a gank with
for battle,
a tough time as well.
All right, so game number 1 here, folks. Our first heat of the day. Good luck, have fun, fellow Americans, says Swindle Melons. Everybody in a good mood today, Purge, for the final day of the group stage. Lots of good Dota to come.
Got an off-lane Queen of Pain on Bone 7, so not the typical off-lane hero, but it's going to be versus a Sven and a Wisp and potentially a Lina as well. So I think this is a pretty good pick here. It's not the best tri lane ever. They've actually gone for an aggro.
Yeah, it looks like Moon will be the one in the safe lane with the Centaur, and they will go for an aggro tri lane. Swindle's the one that ends up taking the Shadow Fiend. It's a good trio of heroes to aggro try with, I think. The nature of the stuns, the regen from the Wisp, they have a lot of kill potential.
Yeah, and a lot of sustain as well, like you said, the regen. Because any regen that Wisp gets is going to be doubled towards his carry, so you could potentially salve 2 people there. Looks like they'll be able to get the top rune for sure. C9 will be able to grab the bottom rune, and that should be an even mid lane then. Shadow Fiend with a Wraith Band, and Viper also with a Wraith Band. But once he gets a couple last hits, it'll be Shadow Fiend's favor as a whole. Because we won't see too much of the second skill on Viper, probably.
Yeah. And that means Big Daddy, no tail here. He'll have to take the Spirit Breaker. He'll be playing on the 4 and Misery on the Lion. As you mentioned, he'll go boots first. And probably we'll see him roaming around quite a bit here.
I actually like the Spirit Breaker pick a lot. It was picked before the Sven came through, but it's a solution versus BKB carries, so Sven might have to be a little bit worried about getting bashed repeatedly or getting another strike in really crucial moments. But once he grabs a BKB, that's pretty much all he has to worry about, and then he just wants his opponents to group up a bit so he can get the cleave on. So yeah, hopefully for him that will happen. Remember, Complexity needs to win at least one game here to guarantee their top 4 finish against MVP Phoenix, but if they can get more points than that, they can get the 3rd space.
Yeah. And look at this, Magic Bush blocked out by Cloud9, so limiting some jungle access here. And of course, the pole camp as well. Radiant side wards, they'll get one down here in the inside of the tree line for their aggro try, and then one into the entryway of their jungle, possibly to make Moon's life a little bit easier in that safe lane. It is a 2-1-2 for Cloud9, at least the start, though. No surprise to see Big Daddy already roaming around here, one of those very active support players.
And I think that's also because they expected at least a dual lane down here, because No Tail's down here. Look at that, he's even blocking jungle camps. So this is probably because we've seen a lot of mid-wisp pulls lately, but they're actually not focusing on that, so this seems like a complete misread by C9. 2 sentry wards that have essentially been wasted. Might see a gank on mid on Swindle Melons. He's got a salve here. Viper's looking to dive. 2 levels of poison attack. I like the skill build versus the SF. Gives you some advantage, and they ping out and guessing that No Tail is bottom, or mid, sorry.
Yep.
So
up top, they tried to dive on the gyro, but good positioning there from Envy. Moved into the tree line, and he will be safe. Now back towards mid. Swindle in some trouble. There's the charge from Big Daddy. Fada dives the tower. It'll be an easy first blood for Cloud9. Fada, the hero, to strike first.
I feel like that's a moderate mistake there by Swindle Melons. Like, there was a ping from Moon Meander right next to the tower. He said, I think Spirit Breaker's there. He's waiting to gank you mid because he hasn't been bought in a while, and where else would he be? So he ends up getting charged there. I didn't see the circumstances that got him initiated on by the Viper. Probably went for a last hit, but he ends up dying there in a matchup with a gank that I think was called out.
Well, a little rune control here. Z-Freak will bottle up the bounty in the top lane, and Big Daddy, he'll just eat that regen down bottom here. Bo2 having a great time this off lane, though. Centaur is able to grab some last hits here and there. He's getting decent experience, but Bone really not being slowed down too much, and it should bode well for Cloud9. I guess slightly greedy lane setup here, but so far so good as all their cores are farming at least decently.
Yeah, this is really good for Quap versus Centaur. It's a pretty one-sided matchup. Like, he can return damage with Centaur, but he can't go for a last hit on every single creep like Quap can, so he's pretty much down to the offlane role. But this is what Complexity wants, and it should limit a bit of farm on Eternal Envy on the other side, and it has.
Yeah, that's a good point. Only 8-0, and the Sven, conversely, sitting 14-2 at the moment. Interesting to see more mangoes picked up here, Purge. One on Ziz as well as one on Eternal Envy.
Really needed on Sven, honestly. Look at his mana pool. He's only got 200, and his first skill costs 140. So the mango could definitely be the difference between a kill or not. And on an important carry like Gyro, whose HP is a bit weak early, look, that's a good trade here with just the mango. And Gyro, kind of similar thing. If you cast Rocket Barrage like 3 times in a row, all of a sudden you could really use a mango to score a kill. So I like the pickup for Gyrocopter here, and it's definitely going to be nice when he's aggressively tri-lane. Those are the situations where you need that burst mana to make or break a game.
Yeah. Envy will just rotate into the jungle here, trying to find farm anywhere he can. And just going to pick on these Centaurs a little bit, give a little solo XP to Misery. Rotation towards the mid lane. Old Wisp going to come down to try and support the Shadow Fiend. It is a disaster for Swindle at this point, Purge. He is 6-1 compared to the 21-6 Viper. He desperately needs some help. We've got Big Daddy just hiding in the tree line here, ready to charge over if Swindle oversteps his bounds.
Yeah, they even had this Observer Ward, actually, when Big Daddy ended up rotating, so they definitely knew that he was there the last time, and this time it's just scary, you know? Shadow Fiend versus Spirit Breaker. If he gets that bash, or if he gets 2 bashes as he charges in, you're absolutely dead. Here comes the charge once again. He's trying to get the dive, but Wisp is here. Can he keep him alive? There's 1 raise, 2 raise, maybe 3 on Fada. He's going to stay alive, though. Now going on No Tail. Great block from Z-Freak, and that should be No Tail going down. He gets the bash, though. That 2 bash! Oh my god, so lucky from No Tail. Z-Freak might also die. Viper going for the kill. He gets it. Wow. Double kill for Fada. And right off the bat, a bit of unlucky. Ooh, the Dragon's Head gets him. Fly, huge pickup there. That's a full level, and he's going to get some last hits in mid. Great rotation from Fly to absolutely salvage that.
Yeah, good from Fly, but just so unfortunate from the perspective of Complexity. I guess very fortunate for Big Daddy there on the Spirit Breaker. A very noble effort from Z-Freak. He kept that Shadow Fiend alive for so long. Just imagine if Swindle had some more souls, if he was farming better in the lane. That could have gone completely different with just a little more auto attack. attack damage. So now things starting to compound a little bit from that first death, and now this second death really puts Swindle far behind, with Fata 3-1 in only 5 minutes.
He's level 6 too versus the SF's level 4. This is such a bad, and he has treads and an Aquila. Like, there's no way the Shadow Fiend can fight this. He's got 8 armor and he has corrosive skin. Shadow Fiend doesn't even have a level 3 raise.
This could easily be another kill here. Just a Viper Strike and a charge in. Okay, they will cancel it. They see that there's somebody lingering nearby. The Lena's still here, so they won't chance it, but any opportunity, Cloud9 are ready to continue picking on this Shadow Fiend.
I mean, if it's a 1v1, just a Viper versus the SF, the Viper can easily kill him with his advantage here. Because the only thing that Swindle can threaten... Ooh, the charge comes through.
Here we go. Viper Strike will be held once more. They bait out the LSA. Now the Wisp rotates in, tethers up to Swindle, and C9 will be happy just to bait a reaction out of Cloud9, or pardon me, out of Complexity, and make a little more space for Envy and Misery in that safe lane, as now Sven's left all alone. Yeah,
no kidding. So many heroes mid going on. I feel like a sentry would be really helpful here, because a lot of the time Shadow Fiend's pretty far back. He can prevent the initial charge. Sometimes that'll be enough time to stay alive. He also pulls up a medium camp here, a nice little soul boost when he's got almost nothing, so that'll be pretty cool. But he really needs more raise levels, honestly. That's his main defense against the Viper.
Charge again on to Swindle Melons. Big Daddy on his way in, finds Z-Freak and will retreat, but man.
Nicely done. He's just doing that to mess with them, basically. He forces the Shadow Fiend to come back and say, oh, I got a Hex going on? Yeah, no death there. Oh, they might actually chase this.
Warcry's pop. Sven just shy of level 6, though, and he may want to wait until he gets that God Strength before he commit to a fight. There is a charge on the way. A nice stun from Misery to get things started. Sven gets blown up. Now Fly falls as well. Beautiful ult from bo2.
What a
great
bait.
Rotation as well. Yeah, bait indeed. Also with a double damage rune on. Things looking pretty good for Cloud9 in just the first couple minutes of gameplay here, Purge.
I thought Misery was dead for sure there. That was
Mid,
really good
Wisp,
play.
getting dove, but... I mean, Fata's showing his power here. That's a 2v1, and just look how weak Swindle and Z-Freak are against just the lone Viper.
It's really hard to kill him when he has this HP advantage, and Wisp is almost all magic, and Shadow Fiend is very largely magic in this early game, so if he can't land the triple raise, it's very tough to get kills, and once he gets slowed, man, Viper just kind of does whatever he wants. So this is really showing the strength of Viper, in my opinion, but, you know, he's pretty moderately getting out last hit, but obviously he has been worried about the Spirit Breaker this whole time and didn't really have a support to cover him for a couple levels. So.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend starting to recover a little bit, though. They did stack up this hard camp. Just a double stack, but he was able to clear it out. Now a smoke rotation from Fly and Ziz. Sven has secured level 6, so God's Strength ready to rock and roll. They want vengeance on Fata, and they'll try to rotate here. It's a 4-on-1 gyrocopter in the neighborhood. Here we go. Warcry, God's Strength used. There's your Storm Bolt, and, well, Fata's dead. It takes 4 of them, but they do find the kill.
That kill's completely worth it, and they have God's Strength now, so they can hit the tower for way more damage. He could even overcharge this if needed. Only 1 point in Great Cleave, but bam, Dragon Slave and the creep wave's gone. They're going to have to solve this up. The TPs are coming. That's going to be Line actually running into it. Great stun, catches 2. No other stuns. Cooldown's going to catch a couple, but they will be able to heal back up, and Ziz should be just fine here.
Decent defense, though. They pop their Glyph Tower only at half health. Pretty minor rotation for Cloud9, and it completely repels Complexity. Thought they may rotate onto bo2, and they looks like they could still head down that way. Maybe they'll just do the rotation and put Ziz in the safe lane now and let Moon move to the off lane. Centaur had a pretty good time, almost level 8, still pretty far off his Blink Dagger. Here we go, they bump into bo2. They hit him with the Storm Bolt, but they don't have the damage to finish him off. Stampede is deployed, but does not achieve much.
Yeah, that was really well played by bo2. He's like, there's a chance that they're rotating on me right now, so...
Oh, here we go. Is it enough damage?
The stun, you can blink dodge it now.
Yeah.
You should not be able to do that, so slight change, and Sven's stun not going to hit.
Close call for bo2, but he will make it out.
Just really well done by him. He read that gank completely. He said they could definitely rotate from mid, go check the side jungle, and because he did that rather than sit in lane, it guaranteed that the double stun wasn't there and he doesn't get killed. So that was a great read from bo2.
Now smoke rotation from Cloud9. TP in
pops.
from the Quap.
They saw it.
And that's unfortunate. Right on the edge of it. bo2 will lose his as well, and it looks like Complexity will be able to dodge this gank. Right now, though, Cloud9 just soaking up the farm. You've got Fata free farming mid, pushing the tower, and Big Daddy getting some solo time in the top lane. Now finds level 6. Nether Strike at the ready as he TPs back to regen up.
Fly does the bottle crow. Fly's pretty farmed. Arcane Boots here. They're looking to turn things around. They could initiate on Gyro. They don't have Centaur ult, though. Here comes. There's the first stun. Calls second stun. Double edge.
Queued up, though. It's going to connect on quite a few. Envy falls, but Misery gets a stun on 2 as well as the finger. They make it a 1-for-1, and can they get some more? Charge onto Ziz, but Big Daddy's still pretty far away. Queen of Pain on her way to cut him off. She's got a Sonic Wave to boot. They're all rather healthy, but still a numbers advantage for Cloud9 if they all converge. Looks like the charge will be canceled, and everybody will just retreat after the 1-for-1.
Completely worth it there. They killed Envy first. Centaur died afterwards, but they're going to be happy with that for sure. Limiting Gyro's farming quite big ways, actually. He's got 3 assists here, but his CS is far lower than it normally is. Looking for the stun on Fada. Throws the stun. Fly with the fall. They've got Light Strike away. Big wobble catching
what a
3.
sonic
Fada's
wave.
low. He goes down. Now chasing after Fly. Great ult from Centaur as well. They should be able to know the great ulti from Tiebreaks, but Swindle Mountains is here. First race, second race, he still goes down. And a double kill for C9.
Yeah, absolutely worth it for them this go around. They do lose their Viper, but getting to an exchange pretty solid. And again, they've got Envy just farming away up here in their safe lane. Centaur still trying to get to that Blink Dagger. This is a great time to try and pick on him. He doesn't have a Stampede, still sitting on a lot of unreliable gold, and C9 are privy to it. They'll rotate down, and there is no way Moon's surviving this one. It's a 3-on-1. He'll get hexed up and finished off by Big Daddy No-Tail. Nice gank there from Cloud9.
No-Tail's gotten so many levels here. I know it's 11 minutes and all, but for just more or less just a roaming hero, he's been a part in 5 kills. He's got the quick level 7. He's got the big stun duration. I like the Charge of Darkness max this game. It's so important against stun heroes and other heroes that are against a Wisp as well. You just don't want to chance them being able to move or cast their spells. The stun duration's huge.
What's really impressive about his level 7 is that Misery's level 8. So
yeah,
actually, the Gyrocopter and the Spirit Breaker are the lowest level on the side of Cloud9. You look at Complexity, and Z-Freak isn't even level 6 yet on the Wisp at the very beginning of 5.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Obviously, it would increase their gank opportunities, but he's been doing pretty well. He's been a part of 5 kills by Misery here. First, Misery, rare mistake here. Almost always reacts in time, but that one just a bit too late. If he would have landed that Earth Spike, he would have almost for sure lived. So, yeah. But that was a hard reaction time, honestly. The fact that he didn't is like, wow, he is human. Cool.
And it's hard with Warcry as well. It gives you that extra little movement speed that kind of plays with your normal reaction time in a scenario like that. So now Bone heads mid. Looks like he'll just go for Power Treads, Eul's Scepter here on the Queen of Pain. Not too surprising. Nice reset tool to buy yourself a little bit of time and also set up for your team. I think fairly common on Quap, who is not in the mid or safe lane role.
Yeah. It's a bit interesting watching Ziz play Sven because they've been doing it in such a gank way. A lot of Svens in the past will go for pretty early great cleave max, but he's all about Warcry and the stun damage on Stormhammer, which
up top. Yeah, call down connects on Moon as well as Fly. Eternal Envy falls to Laguna Blade, but finger back the other way makes it a 1-for-1. Good exchange for Complexity so far, as now it's Cloud9 on the back foot. Stampede deployed by Moon Meander. Misery caught by the Stormbolt. He'll be locked into place and brought down. Complexity finding the advantage in this go-around.
Man, they're properly punishing C9 there, and Eternal Envy getting completely solo killed by the support. Like, that can't happen for C9, because it's just going to turn Lina into a core.
Oh, Moon uses the hook stop to try and make it out. Bone7 has the ulti, does the mental math, and decides, nope, not worth that long cooldown here. Great news for Moon, though. He's the big breadwinner out of that fight. 1,600 gold now, getting very close to that Blink Dagger.
And once he grabs that, the ganks that they've already been scraping by completely reasonably are going to be even more dangerous. And even heroes like Quap are going to actually really have to worry about whether or not they die. Because the stun setup is so there for Complexity, and they're making space for Shadow Fiend as well. He's the top CS now. Can you believe that? And that's the strength of the hero. You get wrecked in your lane, you go into the jungle, you get some last hits, and all of a sudden you catch up and farm. And
that's incredible, actually. Not only did he not farm well in mid, but he was also shut down. He was killed multiple times, and here he's on his way to, well, I wanted to say decently timed to Mac. I guess all things considered, it'll be decently timed. Has the Buckler, still a ways off completing the rest of it. Viper, does he have a recipe on the Courier? Yep, he sure does. That's a completed mechanism.
So he's like a good 1,500 gold ahead of Shadow Fiend in terms of his items. So a bit of advantage there. And they've got the mech now, so they need to take a fight. But now things get a little tough because Complexity, tracking their movements is harder because they've got relocate. So no matter where the Sven and the Wisp are, you always have to worry about them showing up somewhere else. It could just be a simple 2-man rotation from Complexity, and all of a sudden it turns into a 4-man rotation. So it's harder to track their movements at this point, and it's going to be up to them to initiate instead, and that's what they're going to try here.
Eul's Scepter now up on the Queen of Pain, and Eternal Envy still not too much in his inventory. Just sitting on Power Treads, Aquila Wand.
Ooh, they spot the retreat with the Observer Ward, so it seems clear that they got spotted. I like the wards from C9 here. Very, very deep. They'll see where Shadow Fiend is, if he's farming, all that good stuff.
Yeah, things slowing down a little bit here. A little surprised to see Cloud9 not just 5-manning around this mech while they have the advantage, knowing the Shadow Fiend's a little bit behind. I guess they don't really need it to push this bottom tier 1 tower. As you mentioned, they saw the retreat, so they'll feel pretty comfortable. Well, they really do have a lot of deep wards down, even on the plateau here, if you look at all the dire vision.
Took them 2 sentries, but they did find the Observer Ward from Complexity. It was a bit of an older one, so not a huge loss. And Complexity is able to take a tier 1 top, which is very good for them. Shadow Fiend is almost at his mech now. We do see a charge, though.
Charge coming on to Wisp. There he is. Z-Freak in the jungle, and there's going to be some follow-up from bo2. Yep, Wisp just evaporates.
Yeah, and that Observer Ward completely paying off there. If it's on anybody else first, Wisp can heal and try to keep them alive, but it's on Wisp. If it's on Wisp first, then the burst damage is there, and there's no way he can survive. So very tough at this stage to survive the initiation from them. They might initiate.
Oh, another double damage here on bo2. He's been pretty lucky with those, but they jump right onto Fata. He gets the mech off. Save him. Oh, the mech still goes off. They burn everything to bring down Fata. They get the kill, but do they have the resources left to continue this fight? In comes Big Daddy charging from down below. bo2 trying to do what damage he can. Swindle will pump fake the ulti, but in the end, Complexity will retreat and reset things a little bit here. They'll mech up as now Z-Freak joins the party. They want to keep this siege going and at the very least secure a tier 1 tower.
They know that they're all in the trees. The Observer Ward spotted them rotate over. War cries up, call down.
Call down comes in. Swindlemelon's getting aggressive here. Moon blinks forward, goes in onto Misery. They'll hit him with a double edge, and the Requiem finishes him off. They'll try to focus Z-Freak, but they just don't have the damage. They turn on Envy. Now Big Daddy as well. It's a bloodbath with Complexity coming out big, a 1 for 4 as they secure the tier 1 tower to boot.
Queen Pain was able to clean up on the other side, but it's unlikely that Centaur will be able to catch him, but they're super happy with that fight. Getting so many kills. They got the tower afterwards. They lost the Wisp again, but it's not that big of a deal. He doesn't have boots yet, but he can get by with that. He's already got Wand, Urn, and the Bottle, the 3 items that he needs to regen himself and to regen his cores as well. So absolutely great trade for Complexity there, and they are totally in this game and playing better than C9 in my opinion.
Yeah. It seems like it's so far. Just the recovery from Swindle that we've already mentioned a couple times just speaks to how Complexity has handled themselves under the pressure and now turned things around. Look at Eternal Envy's net worth right now. He's the lowest of the cores and actually behind the Radiant support in that of the Lina, played by Fly. He is so broke at the moment. Very atypical of where you would expect Envy's Gyrocopter to be 16 minutes in. Still just power treads Aquila.
But that was the aggressive trialing, and Complexity has enough burst damage and enough stuns that if he does get out of position, he just simply dies. And it's a bit different than a lot of the other drafts we've been seeing, because we've been seeing Dazzles and so many Dazzles, and the team fights are always like, keep one person alive. And Wisp does accomplish that, but he's also very offensive and a lot more offensive than Dazzle is. So it's kind of an interesting way to play Complexity, turning things back onto the old meta a little. It's like, oh yeah, Wisp is still good. Maybe we should draft that.
Yeah.
And they're making it work.
And picking it up early, no less. This wasn't one of those 4th pick, 5th pick Wisps where Cloud9 didn't have a chance to react. This was in that early phase. Cloud9 could have gone for, something like the Disruptor or some of those other classic Wisp counters, and they chose to try and take this straight up. Now the Sven is getting a little bit scary here, Purge. He'll take out a stack of Ancients. He's got his Mask of Madness. Only 1 point in Great Cleave, but BKB is on the horizon now, just a recipe away.
That skill is actually pretty amazing with 1 skill point. I mean, it's only 20%, but a second is equivalent to a Battle Fury. And as you get up to the 4th level, 65%, that's just amazing AoE damage coming against the opponents, and will be very useful against heroes like Viper. And there it is, Warcry's now maxed out, so 20 armor to his team, 4-8 seconds on a 14-second cooldown, and a Yasha for everybody. So the movement speed advantage here is just going to make these supports really hard to kill. Wisp, 2 armor. Lina, 4 armor. How about 24 and 22? How do you kill that? It's pretty much limited to magic, which C9 has, but their right clicks are going to do so much less in these fights.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Moon Meander here in the top lane, just stationed in the trees for now. Knows that there could be some trickery afoot. Yeah, here we go. He misses it. They relocate in as well, but bo2, he's on the run. He's got a haste rune that he was storing in the bottle. Looks like Complexity might not have double-checked what was in that inventory before committing to that one.
I mean, it looked like such a reliable gank there for Complexity. The Moon was waiting in the trees. He said, all right, anybody comes top, I blink stun. Fight going on mid.
Oh, here we go. bo2 goes in, but it's Swindlemelons that gets initiated on. What a terrible time for a DC. Oh, no. Looks like Z-Freak's having some PC issues. That is really unfortunate.
So the stun was Yule's dodged by Queen of Pain, but that actually might be a big hurt there. That's 175 mana to dodge that stun, and he's only got 336 right now.
Yeah, he can't ult unless he eats his stick charges.
He's going to have maximum 1 ult. He'll get 140 mana from bottle, and maybe we'll assume a full stick. So he's going to get about 300 more. This could hurt him, at least in the burst opportunity. Big Daddy No-Tail just got stunned by Light Strike Array. Swindlemelons has taken some damage, but the rest of Cloud9 is pretty far away. The main damage dealer is Fata, and he's the Viper by the jungle. So I feel like this isn't very good position for C9.
No, Envy's not even there. It's a 5v4. Envy's back at the base without the gold for a TP.
Where's the other heroes? I feel like I'm missing. Oh, Misery's over here. He doesn't have a blink yet either, so I feel like Big Daddy No-Tail's just going to get blown up instantly here. Maybe even Light Strike Arrayed by Fly, and since Quap's mana is limited, I know Complexity aren't able to check this. They were the ones that paused the game, so they aren't able to click on enemy heroes like we can see, but C9 has the advantage of being able to do that to their opponents, and I feel like they're just immediately going to run as soon as they really look at things and say, all of their heroes are here. There's no way Swindlemelons is going to die in this first bit of time, because Wisp is going to save him, and we need to turn tail and run, because like you said, Envy won't get here in time, and Viper's already out of position.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You cut your losses, let Big Daddy die. Misery about faces and turns the other way. So does Fata. They still have the mech available, and they hope that Z-Freak will be able to blink as he comes back down from the Yules. Looks like the blink will come up about half a second, maybe a full second after the Yules expires. So he'll have a short window to try and make it out if he doesn't get stunned.
Really unfortunate crash, though. Very few PC issues at the LAN as a whole.
That's a pretty cool. Well, it's also, I think that's the Stormbolt that's making all those little extra frillies around her. So it's kind of this cool. She's in Yules, but she also has this aura of what have you around her.
It was a great dodge, and he had to do it because there's so many stuns that it's scary. But looking at it now, it was maybe a little unnecessary and cost him probably too much mana. Because if he could have thrown the ulti, it still wasn't going to get a kill. I don't think the positioning is just too weak. But I want to talk more about that gank that happened top, because I saw it coming and it looked really good by Complexity. Like, Moon is just sitting in trees. Any person they saw, blink, stun, relocate. And that's such a good combo. You need the setup, the stun duration to prepare for the relocate to come in. And the other heroes people do this with, it's like Nyx Assassin. But Centaur fills a lot of other roles, and it's a bit easier of a stun. So, but you know, I think Bone7 was ready for that, or he just happened to pop his haste rune because he blinked forward offensively into the creep wave. So that makes me think that he was baiting it, because when Quap uses blink, you're like, oh, obviously go on Quap.
Yeah.
But immediately after, popped the haste and ran away. So I think that was just really sick play from Bone7 there.
It seemed like it. At least it was on his mind that could be coming his way. So let's look at the grass while we wait here. And man, it's been a topsy-turvy game already. Cloud9 started off with a pretty big advantage, but Complexity's come back now to hold on to about a 2k gold and experience edge. Nothing too crazy, as it is tied up 12-12 in hero kills, but it just feels like Complexity are moving around a little more effectively. We talked about how far behind Envy is, but it's difficult. I mean, now he's gone for the Helm of the Dominator, pretty core item on Gyrocopter. It will allow him some recovery mechanism. Now you can dominate a creep, stack the Ancient so your supports can go in other places, find some efficiency there. It gives you a little more sustainability in fights, opens up some jungle possibilities for him. But it is a slow road to recovery here.
They just had very different ganks than what you normally see from a hard carry. And obviously they did start in the offlane, so usually the playstyle is different. But all of their ganks were so clean. The one they really needed was the Viper, and they rotated the carry and the Lina. And I like that it wasn't just the supports. They turned it from like a maybe gank into a if the stun lands, he dies, because Sven's damage is actually pretty good. So, and they just kept rotating him, and his CS looks terrible. It's at 78.
There we go. The countdown. Does Big Daddy just play Sacrificial Lamb? He takes the Laguna Blade, and yeah, the rest of Cloud9 just hightailed out of there. Blink back from the Queen of Pain, and good prediction there, Purge. Transpired exactly as you said it would.
I read it. So Warcry's up. Look at the damage these creeps take. That's like 50 damage. That's 10 hits from a tower to die, and that's one of the best things about Warcry. Makes it so easy to push. C9 has pretty good counter push by using Scream, maybe Impale, and Gyro Flak or something, but the Flak again doing less. Like, it gives them so many good chances to just go high ground. Like, he Warcried this creep wave, and it's going to take forever to die.
Yeah, even just moving into the tier 3, so they'll have to have Fata deal with it. Tier 2 tower down in the mid, and the rest of Complexity now rotate towards the top lane. Ziz and Z-Freak will move to the jungle. bo2 farming nearby. Can they actually catch him here? Nope. He'll just blink to the high ground and TP home. Nice heads-up play there. Misery did buy the blink dagger. He'll TP home as well.
Okay, that's really what C9 needs to score their kills now, because they were lacking that before. They didn't have quite the same mobility that Complexity did, and they didn't have nearly as many stuns, so it was always forced to be someone like Lion doing the rotations. And without blink, Lion is actually a bit scary, because if you run into too many heroes, you're probably dead if you don't stun them, like we saw.
Yeah. Well, some more ward coverage here for the Dire side. Still continuing with their aggressive wards, and now actually putting a defensive ward down as well, which did come in handy as Complexity were rotating through their jungle. Let's take a look at Complexity vision now. They've got some deep wards themselves, very centered around this mid lane, looking at the Dire Secret Shop, the low ground near their Ancients, and also the mid here. So pretty good intel for the movements they've been making, and well, pairing well with this aggressive style they've had.
They do know that some of Complexity is in their jungle. They smoked in the enemy jungle to gank their jungle, but it doesn't look like they're going to find anybody. Complexity is kind of rotated away from it.
Yeah, this is a great ward right here. They can see whenever Envy or Fata most likely will be farming this big camp. Usually a spot where you feel pretty safe deep in your own jungle, but relocates are always a possibility if somebody gets a little bit low.
And that's the threat that Complexity has. C9 has to worry about constantly solo farming a lane, because if the Centaur is in the area, anybody can get solo killed, with the exception of maybe, well, not solo killed, but it would be a stomp into relocate kill. Viper is maybe a little survivable against it, but you got to get your timing. You have to pop your BKB or dodge that stun, and that's difficult.
All right, invisibility room picked up by Misery. He's just a couple of creep kills away from level 11. Big pickup for Lion. Mostly for that cooldown reduction on Figure. It goes from 160 to 100 seconds, but there's been an equally big pickup here for Complexity. That's the BKB on Sven. This next series of fights will be very difficult for Cloud9 to deal with that long duration bout of Magic Immunity. Misery scouting things out here, maybe thinking about a go onto Swindle Melons. It's getting pinged out.
He would need someone else to come.
Envy's pretty nearby here in the lane. They could actually try to set this up. They don't have vision on the rest of the Radiant squad, though, so it is very risky.
Like, they could try it, but there's always going to be a relocate if there's only two. They go on it. There's the Hex. Stun as well. And there's the relocate instantly. Swindlemon's going to get his mech off. He's still alive, able to get out, and Eternal Envy's going to die.
Oh, it's a bloody disaster. Big Daddy comes in. He wants Swindle. The LSA is there. It's a 3-for-0. They give him the Laguna for good measure. Swindle survives the assault. Oh, no.
How does this guy reliably stun No Tail every single time? Man, like...
Well, they are ex-teammates after all. Maybe he just knows the way No Tail likes to play.
Got his number.
Yeah.
bo2's pressuring the tower. Oh, gets stunned. Will he have the stun? He does throw the stun. bo2 right-click, double edge, and that's another kill.
Great setup here, and that's an unstoppable streak going to Fly. This support Lina now starting to transition into a bit of a core.
Fly is so good, man. And this is how you have to play Lina support. You have to get those slightly, I'll say greedy, but it basically is you have to use your hero to get those solo kills on the important heroes and transition to a core. You can't do the style where you go something like Medallion, Solar Crest. If you do that, your Lina is not that amazing, but if you get this fast Yules and this Arcane Boots, he's basically set on mana regen for the entire game. Yep. And he can just farm jungle creeps in an aggressive area and potentially set up ganks. And if he picks up an eggs at some point, man, C9 has got to deal with like 4 cores then.
Yeah, I mean, already they've been dealing with this Spirit Breaker so well from just the skill shot of Light Strike Array. Now you've got a Yules to stop him from charging and give Fly a super easy setup. So this makes the life of Cloud9 just more difficult in general. You've also got a counter initiation tool for someone like Misery. If he doesn't blink in and hex the Lina, there's always a chance that he could get Yules before he can get off his full rotation. Swindle with a completed SNY and another 1,400 gold to boot. Moon Meander closing in on a 4-stack as they take out the last remaining Tier 1 tower here for Cloud9.
And their survivability is still so good on Complexity.
How many double damage runes have there been this game? There's been at least 2 on bo2. I've seen at least 2 or 3 on Complexity.
Yeah, there have been quite a few. I agree with that. It's a really good rune here to get for Shadow Fiend, because that's a Tier 2 tower that's going to fall, because Complexity knows that they're not going to challenge them at this point.
Yeah. Especially with still this fresh 10-second BKB on the Sven that hasn't even been utilized yet.
He might find Moon Meander here. They didn't see each other. It's nighttime. Vision's a bit low. Setting up for the top Tier 2 defense. Fly's mana's also a bit low. 600 mana for him. He could solo kill Eternal Envy, I think, if he finds him.
This is pretty risky for
They don't see him.
Here.
The ward's on high ground.
Yeah.
He's going to see him now. They see Ancients are dying. Fly's going to collapse on that, I think.
Got the daytime vision.
He's going to go for the... Oh, he's dead. There's the Yules.
Oh, well, it was definitely a risky play, and now it will end with Envy in the grave. Unfortunate for him. I guess they're far enough behind that you can warrant taking some risk at this point, but
he didn't buy out either, so any gold that he got there, he did prevent Sven from getting it, but he's not going to be there to carry his team in the late game because of deaths like this. Like, it's a Viper. Viper, if your team isn't stomping or in a moderate place, like, you need some bigger carry potential than just a Viper in the late game. Fada doesn't actually farm very fast, so Gyro needs a snowball, and that just seemed like an Envy didn't know what to do thing or something. Like, he stole the Ancients, but it's in such a greedy place. Like, his team was kind of close by, but they weren't even close.
Yeah, not close enough to react to something like that once he gets caught by the Yules. Roshan will go down to Complexity. Nice easy kill there. It'll be Swindle that picks up the Aegis, and Z-Freak, man, this Wisp is rolling in the money. No boots, but he's got a Glimmer Cape already.
Yeah, really good item to have against C9. Anybody that line initiates on, bam, Glimmer goes on him, guaranteed. Maybe even a Viper Strike. They just have so many good ways to reduce the damage, and if C9 can't get that first kill, there's no way they get it. And there's not even a Dazzle. And now this IO skill is so much better and so much more offensive.
Fly gonna find himself in a world of trouble here, but nice Stampede from Moonman to counter initiate. He'll get Yules, but Lion gets zapped down by the LSA. Big Daddy says, I'm out of here. He TP's home, and it ends as a 1-0 in favor of Complexity. Another failed gank for Cloud9.
Fly almost has Aghanims.
Yep, well, with that one, yeah, now 500 gold away.
That's insane.
He is actually a core now. He's out farming Moon, who's become the 4.
I've seen very many core Lenas that have Ags and Yules at 25 minutes, 26 minutes, and he is almost there. And once he gets that, man, Viper's only got 1,500 HP. Fly's going to do, what, 675 pure with his ultimate now, and then as he ticks over to level 16, 950. Like, their cores are in such bad places. Look at Swindle Melons. He doesn't care. He knows they have a huge advantage. He's behind the tier 2 tower, and they're just taking their outer towers, and they are preparing to just go high ground, and I think this is the push.
Yeah, Swindle going for a smart build here. Orbit Venom picked up the sign of a Scotty inbound. He's got 3,600 gold, and we'll have the big boy completed before too long. Give him that nice mix of survivability and utility in these team fights with that passive slow. Ziz also going for some armor here, probably an Assault Kuros to come out, but just the plate mail for now. Sven, very, very tanky, and I just don't see Cloud9 killing this guy easily unless they unload all of their ultimates on him. Maybe if he gets hit by the Sonic Wave, the Finger, and the Nether Strike, they can bring him down, but
they could, yeah. It would take a lot of magic nukes, and they'd have to chain them the whole time, because either casting Warcry or BKB is going to put him in a bad spot. So. Yeah. Moon getting position set up on the bot tier 2. Big Daddy No Tail not getting spotted because Flies wasn't quite on the high ground, and he's going to TP out as well, so smart to do that. Once you go that far to squeak in, it's kind of difficult.
Envy is in such an aggressive position right now. He's got this Dire Wolf or Alpha Wolf with him to kind of scout things out a little bit, as well as a TP scroll.
I think he's just really scared. He knows that the opponents can kill him very easily. There is a Wisp, so he has to farm where he knows there probably aren't Observer Wards, and that's right next to the enemy team's base. So it may seem like a crazy thing here, but this is probably also the reasoning that he was going for the Ancients.
And they do also counter that ward that was just placed on the plateau, so opening up a little bit more space for Envy. It's working out so far, and he will TP out as soon as he sees some enemies inbound left to feed over his Alpha Wolf. A worthy feed there to make sure he makes it back to safety.
All right. So at this point, Complexity is getting very close to more major items. I think they're just going to spend some time farming because they know that in the late game they have a really big advantage with C9, against C9 that is. Shadow Fiend's going to have his next tanky item. That'll give twice as much HP as it would normally because he has an Aegis, so that's even more damage that C9 has to expend to kill him.
And Sven actually very close to the Assault Kuros, now just a Hyperstone away with 1,000 gold in the bank. Already has the recipe picked up on the courier, so perhaps they'll just let this Aegis expire, pick up the AC, and then look to take a team fight and possibly break the high ground. And maybe even before that, they smoke up behind the Shadow Fiend. They'll try to bait with Swindle. He's got about a minute and a half left on the Aegis, so it'll be expiring right as this game rolls over to the 30-minute mark. Complexity will try to make use of it if they can.
And there's the Warcry, so 20 extra armor for Shadow Fiend in case he was hard to kill before. Such good synergy with that because so many SFs just build HP, and then you just get this free armor from Sven. And Sven is also still a very scary card. Almost an ulti from No Tail. He's just trying to bait out some spells. No BKB on Shadow Fiend, obviously. There's the first stun.
All right. Complexity happy to have Swindle take a little bit of this damage to get things started. At the very least, he'll have a regen rune coming up here in about 60 seconds. There's the glyph from Cloud9. Complexity will get a free tower out of it. Swindle the one to grab the last hit there. Big Daddy goes in. Another strike onto Swindle Melons as well as the Viper strike. Call down, but he gets off the Requiem. Moon goes jumping in deep. Big Daddy brought down, but a great Sonic Wave from bo2. Squishes up Complexity. There's just no follow-up damage. Ziz diving deep here with the BKB on, and they've got no way to stop him. As soon as Envy gets caught by the Scotty, he's going to be down for the count. Buyback now from the Viper. Maybe Fada can start to clean house. Lena's died. Moon Meander getting low. They'll Glimmer Cape him. And it's just enough, but the Impale is there to finish him off. It looks like Complexity did just commit a little too deep here. Aegis will be utilized by Swindle, but
that was so good by C9. They defended that so perfectly there. Like, they forced the overdive. Viper didn't waste his BKB until he bought back.
Buyback from Wisp. He relocates Ziz in. They may try to do something with Swindle. At the very least, he'll survive the second life after the Aegis. All right.
Okay. Guess that was all right. Yeah, I think that was okay for Complexity. Not good, though. I don't think. The gold graph is, yeah, it looks like it's going to dip down a little bit. It was just a Viper buyback, right?
Yep, just one buyback on each side, Wisp and Viper.
That's the problem. It's so early in the game, and there's so few levels on so many heroes that their respawn times are really not very big. So they didn't have to overdive there, but they went for all those kills, and then being positioned behind the tier 2, you're taking all these tier 4 tower hits. Those are actually very serious damage. They do more per hit probably than an average carry does at this point, because Gyro doesn't have that much farm. Like, if you go that far, your HP is going to get low, and you can't heal everybody, especially because they used the mech a little poorly. It was like as they were initiating, and he was missing like 300 HP. I think that was a big mistake, and maybe the only mistake Complexity made in that dive.
Yeah. A little overzealous, but frankly, they're far enough ahead that they can afford to make those hyper-aggressive plays, as long as they don't do too many more. Ziz in particular, BKB, oh, they'll get a kill on Spirit Breaker up top. The BKB bought him a lot of time, but unfortunately it doesn't mitigate much damage for those tier 4s like you were talking about, so he did end up going down pretty quickly. He did now complete the Assault Cross. Misery in the mid lane gets initiated on. Moon sets it up with the Stampede, an easy follow-up for Fly. Laguna Blade still ready to rock and roll. Now a Blink Dagger secured from his Inverse.
And this is a great time to just go for the racks, because there's 2 dead heroes. It's only a line and a Spirit Breaker, but you know, it's better than nothing. So they push out the top lane. A little bit of backdoor creep cutting from bo2 will stop the top wave and hopefully prevent backdoor at some point. But Swindle Melons is just hitting the racks right now, and really no threat to him.
No glyph here. There is a buyback available on the line. He also has Finger, so maybe forced into using it. Seems Cloud9 will just let this mid lane of Barracks fall and mount a defense in the side lanes if Complexity does opt to stick around. Though for now, they will retreat as 5. Do they have a smoke for perhaps a fake back here? Nope, doesn't look like it. So they will just retreat.
And they spotted that Observer Ward going down, so they know that Complexity is still there.
There's actually already a Sentry Ward down.
Yeah.
So good stuff for the Dire side. Stroke of luck there.
At the same thing, it'll give Complexity some vision on where C9 is positioned, so they know they've got plenty of time to sit back and farm if needed. Let's see what they're doing items next. Sven has his AC, probably Daedalus next, maybe a Heart. I think a Heart would be okay here, just because if you're going for a all-in end the game, not that they're not committed in the late game as well, but it's just good to build HP basically, because it lowers your chance of dying. And then the Wisp may not need to spend his heals on the Sven instead if he goes for a Heart rather than a damage item, and then he can use that to keep Shadow Fiend alive or some other hero instead. So he goes Blink. Okay, I really like that too. Gives him much better initiation. He can catch the Quap or the Lion first rather than being at a vulnerability to them reacting to him.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, you've got a Blink Dagger on Fly, Glimmer Cape on the Wisp, as well as the Blink on Centaur. There's already plenty of initiation, but that is one of Sven's biggest weaknesses, is that just getting into the fight and getting off those auto attacks. So now they have that huge burst potential. Someone gets caught out of position by either the Yules or Hoofstomp from Moon Meander. There is a lot of follow-up with now 3 Blink Daggers on this Radiant team. Looks like Swindle will be going for the Butterfly next on Shadow Fiend, so even more mobility there, and an item that C9 just have no answer for whatsoever. MKB not on the horizon for any of these cores.
They smoked under the ward for sure. The Observer Ward completely caught them. That's why this ward was so good, because they still had a tier 1 mid up, and nobody usually wards that deep, that early. They'll usually put it a little bit closer to the tier 1.
Yeah.
Can they catch somebody top? bo2 has a TP. He's going to get spotted. They see him.
Oh, they do catch him. Stormbolt started. Ziz actually uses his BKB here. Unnecessary as Fly just chunks him with the Laguna Blade, but a kill's a kill. That is your 9-second BKB. It'll be on cooldown for over a minute now. Might
have been a mistake there. Maybe he meant to press Mask of Madness instead, because when you play Sven and you initiate, you stun, and then you have to press Warcry, God's Strength, Mask of Madness, and sometimes you just spam all those buttons when you get him down to memory, and he might have pressed the BKB accidentally. And honestly, it's definitely a mistake there, but you never really know if the full team is there. And if he initiates and then he gets turned around, initiated on by a line, he can't react to that. So it's just a safe play, honestly. Yeah. And it's not something we really should criticize at all, because it guarantees the Quap is dead, and they're ahead, so any further kills they get are just more advantage for them. Yeah,
and now a small stroke of luck for Complexity. It's a very quick Roche respawn. They walk right into the pit, and with the Queen of Pain dead, C9 not in a position to contest. Even if the Quap was up, probably not something they could contest too easily, but it will be another Aegis of the Immortal going the way of Swindle.
So very good for him. He's almost got his butterfly finish, and at that point, there is almost no way that C9 can kill him, because even Viper's basic attacks are going to be missing. His armor's going to be really high. Lower chance of Spirit Breaker can even hit him, let alone get the bashes after those confirmed hits. So Swindle Mounds is in a great position, completely caught up this game, and Complexity has been playing this game pretty much perfectly, in my opinion.
So much armor for Complexity. They now have a Vlad's on the Wisp, you've got the AC on the Sven, and then Warcry, which we've mentioned a couple times. But all of that stacked up, this gyro just does nothing. I mean, even the Viper as well, outside of Viper Strike and his poison attack, those right clicks are really not hurting too much.
I feel like if he got a Divine Rapier, it wouldn't even look like he does good damage.
Yeah.
Like that's the position they're at. 30 damage, or 300 damage, or 320 damage is going to be reduced to like 100. That's all it's going to do. And when these heroes have 1500 HP on their supports, like, how do you stop that? It's so tough.
Yeah.
They're in a really bad position, and they have to go for the kills. And Viper got so much advantage in the mid lane, but if he gets behind, the hero just can't catch up nearly as fast.
Yeah, they've really itemized effectively here. Now Sven moving into that data list, as you were talking about. Chrysalis will come out first. Actually has enough gold to get it completed, and it'll be the replacement of the magic wand.
Goodbye, wand.
So plenty of progression still to be had here for Complexity. Even Moonmeander, he's working on a BKB and has it completed. Mithril Hammer and the recipe coming out on the courier. Looking at the side of Cloud9, they've got a few BKBs of their own. Both Fada and Envy have picked up Magic Immunity. Envy still sitting on his 10-second BKB. Sure, it'll help him survive, but the bigger problem is damage. How are they killing these heroes on the side of Complexity? And I guess the answer is, well, they need the help of these towers. That's how it happened last time, and this will be a difficult hold for Cloud9.
There is 52 armor on Shadow Fiend when Warcry is used. That is incredible. And the Vlad's isn't even there. Another 5, and some really much needed lifesteal as well in Swindle Melon. So tons of armor, lifesteal. They've got everything going for them. The only thing they're missing maybe is a medallion.
76% physical damage reduction. That is just insane. Big Daddy goes in, he uses another strike, and it just tickles. Now Ziz pops in, BKB on. Fata just gets blown up indeed. He mechs, but it's just not enough. Lion goes down to boot. It's a quick 2-0, as now the buyback from the Viper is used. It's looking like it won't make much of a difference, though, as the structures are getting cleaned up. Envy walks in, tries to walk up with the BKB. This isn't enough. Cloud9 forced to tap out, and not a moment too soon. 30-15. Complexity roll over Cloud9.
What a gold advantage there. 70k versus 45. They had, you could see it in that last fight. Gyro pops BKB, he walks in. SF starts attacking him, he's like, alright, I'm dead. And he just keeps running, doesn't make it at all, because he was doing a good 1/5 of his HP. They had the BKBs, they had obscene armor. What a cool draft from Complexity, and they played it perfectly. Lots of rotations. Fly got farmed. Fly played a support/carry role. They shut down the gyrocopter. They guaranteed the Shadow Fiend farm by killing